Can I have your attention, please? We'll be starting up shortly. Good evening, and welcome to the Lowell Planning Board for Monday, April 7th, 2025. The first matter we have on the agenda is the approval of the March 17th minutes. Any of the board members have any corrections or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second?
Second the motion.
I'll let Caleb second that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none, and chair votes yes. Before we get started tonight, I see that we have one request for continuance. For anybody here for Clark Road. This is a special permit and a site plan review, 133 Clark Road. The Lowell Planning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application by Jeremy and Arlene McSorley to subdivide the existing lot and construct a new single-family home at the above address. The subject property is located in the suburban single-family zoning district. The proposal requires amending special permit approval from the Planning Board per section 5.2.9 to reduce the required frontage for large lots in the SF zone. Special permit approval per section 6.7 to exceed the maximum driveway length, and site plan review approval for section 11.4 for a parking area with greater than 4,000 square feet of impervious surface. We received a letter from Attorney Catherine Flood requesting a continuance to April 24th. For some reason, something popped up and she has a conflict and couldn't be here this evening. So we have requests for continuance.
To make a motion to continue it.
Motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, chair votes yes. So anybody interested in that matter, they'll be on our agenda for our next meeting, which will be April 24th, which is a Thursday night. Okay. So moving back in the order of the agenda, we have public shade tree hearings, 80 Woodward Ave, 803 Middlesex Street, 406 West 6th Street, and 413 Fletcher Street. In accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 87.5 and Chapter 260 of the Lowell Code of Ordinance, the Lowell Planning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons about the proposed removal of 8 trees at 80 Woodward Ave, 20 trees at 803 Middlesex Street, 17 trees at 406 West 6th Street, and 1 tree at 413 Fletcher Street. The removal of these trees is necessary for planted renovations to the parks. So what I'd like to do is just take them one at a time, because we have to vote on them one at a time. So you can take them in any order, whatever you like. So we hear from the applicant, please.
Hi, I'm Brianna Martinez. I'm a design planner at the city. I manage the park and open space projects. Sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm Brianna Martinez. I'm a design planner for the city. I manage park and open space projects. So I'll start with North Common, which is 413 Fletcher Street. We're here seeking 1 tree removal permit, and this tree needs to be removed to account for the proper grading of the ball field. This is one of our 8 projects, our ARPA projects. So each park I'll be speaking about tonight is going to get $1 million renovation. And to offset the loss of the 1 tree at North Common, we will be planting 1 new tree in partnership with Greening the Gateway Cities. At Father Maguire Park, which is 80 Woodward Ave.
We'll just hold off a minute. So what I'm going to do, we're going to vote on each one after you give us the presentation, okay? Thank you. So that way if anybody has any questions, we can limit them to 1, okay? So that one is, so the 413 Fletcher Street is for 1 tree to be removed at North Common. I believe the tree, when I was out there looking at it, is on the first baseline next to the bleachers that are there. At this point in time, does anybody here tonight want to speak in favor of the tree removal? In favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody like it speak in opposition of the tree removal? In opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. This time I'll turn that matter over to the board members. Any of the board members have any questions on the tree at the North Common?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just briefly, I couldn't figure out from the plans where the new tree is going. It looks like there's only one tree that's being cut down. Didn't know where it was going as far as the new one.
So the new tree will be planted roughly in the same place that we're removing it.
Okay. You've got me confused now. We're removing a tree to plant a new tree in the same spot.
We need to remove the tree to be able to properly grade the field. So there's not a way to grade around that tree.
Okay. All right, you still have me confused. Why plant the tree in the same spot if there's problems grading?
So it's basically the construction. We need to do some earthwork. So like it's not a matter of the placement of that tree is not an issue within the park. It's just that the construction the construction would kill the tree, but also to be able to properly grade the area, we need to remove it, and the grade will, I'm not sure if it goes up or down, but it will, it'll change. So the tree needs to be removed.
So basically, in order to do the construction, you need to remove the tree and then you just want to replace it there?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Okay. Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that one on North Corman is approved. Next one.
So next we have Father McGuire, which is 80 Woodward Ave in Pawtucketville. Here we're looking to remove 8 trees, which is necessary to do the tennis court reconstruction and restriping, just to allow for this proper safety and use zones. And here we'll be planting 8 new trees to offset that loss.
Huh? We'll get to him, don't worry, public hearing, go look out. Anybody like to speak in favor of the tree removals on Father McGuire Park at 80 Woodward Ave? So anybody want to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. This time I'll turn it over to any of the board members. Any of the board members have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't going to say anything, but I don't want to disappoint Mr. Tanzar over here, so I will comment. No, I do have a question. I noticed there was a tree away from where the tennis courts, but where the gym equipment is, or it's just curious as to what's happening there.
So when we put in this initial tree removal request, we were being proactive in the case that we were going to accept an adult for this project. So the tree that has been marked near the playground will not be removed, but we just wanted to be kind of proactive, and should we need to remove that tree, we'll have the permits ready. Because one of our adults for that project was to redo the plaza and the playground areas. So should we do that work, we would need to remove the tree.
So it may or may not come down. Do you know at this juncture whether you're going to do that work over there?
At this point, we do not plan to remove it.
Don't want to be difficult. I prefer not to approve that tree being removed if that's the case. I could just see accidentally the tree coming down.
Yeah, we've been in communication with the contractor on this. They are aware that that tree is staying, but having the permit ready, and then if we have contingency fund to spend, just having everything ready to go to be able to accept adults and do further improvements is kind of our goal here.
So to my initial question, if you do have some funds remaining, and you can do that work, you plan on doing the work?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I understand. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the tree removal plan at Father McGuire Park.
I second the motion.
Motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none. Chair votes yes. That motion is allowed. So, the next matter, we at St. Louis Park or Clementi Park?
St. Louis Park, which
Okay.
is 406 West 6th Street in Centerville. Here, we're looking to remove 17 trees necessary for the basketball and playground improvements and the addition of a splash pad. And here, we'll be planting 47 new trees with greening the gateway cities.
Thank you. I'll open up to the public. Anybody like to speak in favor of the tree removals at St. Louis Park on 406 West 6th Street, excuse me? In favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none? Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none? This time, open the matter up to the board members.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I do have a question. There are a large number of, look like fairly recently planted trees along the Pawtucket Boulevard, and they still have the braces on them for the trees to grow straight. Are we going to try to reuse those trees, or are we just taking them down? It just seems like a waste of an initial resource, I guess. It's just curious if we were looking to repurpose those.
So I'm not the project manager for St. Louis Park. I can't speak to the kind of specifics. I'm not sure how to answer that question. We try and save as many trees as we can. I know that this tree, I believe, was planted with greening the gateway cities. And so if there's an opportunity to keep that tree and just move it, we can explore that, but I can't speak to like what the current plan is.
I mean, I understand the plan is to move it based on what, remove it, I get that, but boy, it just seems like a waste with the original. I don't know how we got the trees originally, but it doesn't look like they're that mature at this point, so. Yeah, again, I have no objection with the plan itself, I just, that caught my attention, so, thank you.
Yeah, it caught my attention too. I made notes that there was a lot of small ones, like you say, it still had the braces still on them, but I understand the reasoning behind it. Any of the board members have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, along with what Jerry was saying, some of these things just don't make sense. When you see, I mean, they are small. They're, what, maybe 6, 8 feet tall, and, they look like they're coniferous. They're not, leaf trees. They're more like pine trees. So it doesn't make sense that we're looking to take those down? Or do you know?
Like what, I'm sorry, what is?
There is a row of trees, probably 8 to 10 trees. It looks like they're pine trees. And I guess the question is are they coming down?
So all of the trees that we're looking to remove have been marked with the proper notice, so that each tree that we're looking to remove has a sign on it. I don't know when you were out there. The signs have been there for roughly a week and a half. But Greening the Gateways has been planting a lot of trees out there, and we try to coordinate with them, but sometimes they'll plant trees without running, like they're not always aware of our exact plans, so they may have planted it there without realizing that it may impact construction.
Okay. But these are more off to the side. These are like right along the highway. It doesn't seem like, I'm not going to vote for it because it seems like it's just a waste. It seems like when you look at it, somebody just put in new trees, and I would assume that they have to get somebody's permission to put them in, and now we're saying we're taking them down. So that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I understand. Some of these trees need to be removed not for kind of physical improvements that you'll see once construction has ended, but it's necessary for grading or earthwork or just different construction things. We do our best to communicate these plans with other city departments and with our partners at Greening the Gateway Cities, but it does happen sometimes that they'll plant trees and we weren't aware of the exact location.
Maybe if I can follow up
Sure,
a
go
little
ahead,
bit
Taylor.
on that. I think it will help to clarify what's going on behind the basketball courts next to the highway. right? The VFW highway, I mean, there's a big, I mean, if you look at the plans, I think the chairman have some plans. You see like there's a large hatched area.
That's the other one, this is,
Oh, there.
yeah. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, there is a large hatched area that, there is a label saying excavated material replacement zone grading plan. And then, I mean, just last piece of grass out there, so just curious what actually is going there, and, I mean, I suppose that's the reason why those trees have to be taken out. And I think if you can clarify that, it will help us to make a better decision on, regarding those rows of trees, right, that we're concerned about.
Yeah, thank you. So when we're doing the playground construction, we will be expanding the footprint of the playground area, and we'll be adding a splash pad, and that does take up a lot of, we call it cut, so we will be removing a lot of soil to account for footings and proper like fall zones for the playgrounds, and we need somewhere to put that soil. And so our landscape architects and engineers have come up with a grading plan that would allow us to just move that soil within the park and not have to pay to remove it from the site completely. So I believe that's what's happening for the trees in the back. It doesn't look like it will be impacted by construction, but we need a place to store the extra soil that we're removing from the playground area.
Okay. Well, how did that sound, Dan?
It doesn't make any sense, but sure.
Could they work around the trees? I'm wondering, but I know they might not want a hill back there, but.
Yeah, so the soil has been kind of decided to go there just to properly grade the entire park as a whole, so that we don't have any like real flooding issues. You know, they wanted to properly grade it for drainage.
Oh, thank you for explanation.
Yeah.
I think if we still have concern, I mean, I hesitate to not give them the permission to, interfere with their work, but at the same time, maybe can we add like a statement where we hope those trees can be saved if possible, kind of
Realistically, they're going to take them down. I mean, realistically.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
got
what
it.
They're saying, hey, listen, this is where we're going to store stuff, and we're going to take them down. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me, and it is what it is.
Okay.
Any other board members have any comments?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
And how many trees are you replacing these trees with?
So the total of the number of trees that we'll be removing at St. Louis is 17, but we will be planting 47 new ones.
Thank you.
Tyler, any question? No? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the plan. And again, I think, they're going to replace with an abundance of trees, and I get the plan. I would just make a condition that, that every consideration is made to repurpose, save and repurpose the younger trees that had been recently planted in that along the VFW highway. I just think where we're looking for trees, state's providing it, and I think they can be saved, right? They're not too large that you can actually excavate them, and I think we could repurpose them. So even in other parts of the city, if we could just be proactive with that. I mean, we're looking for projects all the time to require the contractor to put some trees, and we're going to just cut down. So again, I would make the motion that every effort be made to repurpose, save and repurpose those trees.
I'll second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, that motion is allowed. So moving along to the next matter is 803 Middlesex Street, which is Clementi Park. I believe there's 20 trees in question there.
Yes, so at Clemente Park, we are looking to remove 20 trees, which is necessary for the volleyball, basketball, playground, and event space improvements. And we will be planting 50 new trees to offset that loss.
Okay. Anybody here this evening like to speak in favor of the tree hearing for Clementi Park on Middlesex Street? In favor? In favor? In favor, hearing none? Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none? That part of the public hearing is over. Any of the board members have any questions or comments for the Clementi Park?
So I have a question. Now, do you know when the projects will be starting?
At Clemente Park?
Yes.
So I don't manage it, but my understanding is that it will start right after the Kamai New Year event, and then hopefully finish up this year.
So how long will the projects last?
So we anticipate construction lasting this whole season, so starting right after all of the Kamai New Year events, and then finishing up in November.
Okay, thank you.
Any of the board members have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, just briefly, just noted for the record, ordinance 260, tree ordinances, still says Conservation Committee. Conservation Commission is the appeals board or the board that hears these types of hearings. I think if we're moving forward, should be corrected if the planning board is going to continue to do these hearings. I mentioned it the last time. I figured I'd bring it up this time. And I'm very happy to see what you're doing with Clemente Park. You are also saving some, there's 3 beautiful trees in the middle, and they're probably 100 years old or whatever they are. And, you know, so it's nice that you're doing that. But realistically, the city needs to update the ordinances for us to actually have authority to do this.
Thank you. Dylan, could you check with Fran on that?
Sure.
And say who she can speak with? If you have any questions, give Dan a call. Thank you. I think he remembers when he was on the city council, that proposal came in when he was sitting on the council. That's why it's fresh in it. He tells us he remembers it. He remembers voting on it. And so he just wants to know why it can change. I know for years we didn't do them, and then all of a sudden we were told that somebody in City Hall says that the planning board does them now. So I'm not sure where that authority came from, but we took it on staff's word, and we've been doing them ever since. So even though we do have a tree warden in the city, who does come before us for approval to take them down sometimes, and other times they do them on their own.
And Mr. Chairman, to your point, we've been doing it for years and years, yeah.
Yep, been doing it for a while, yeah, yeah. Okay. So,
I have one question.
Sure.
I think I missed that and the other projects when the board reviews it. This is the the park is next to the new development that will go on.
correct.
And were there going to be a path down eventually, or?
Yes, so basically, one of the conditions was that on that property that was coming in, they can either try to gift it to the city or give them an easement for a stretch of property going down in between the very end, right part of that building.
Ah,
Right,
so that's still in the play.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and looks like a very nice upgrade to the park. So I'm for it and supportive of again. Member Tenza mentioned, it's nice to see saving the three iconic trees in the all middle of it. So great work for the design team.
Thank you.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, motion to approve, by Attorney Tenza, do we have a second? Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none. Those are allowed also. That motion. Thank you very much, and have a good night. Thank you very much. Moving along on the agenda, next matter we have is a special permit site plan review for 558 Gorham Street. The Lowell Planning Board will hold a public hearing to hear all interested persons relative to an application by LML Investments, LLC, to construct 2 townhouses totaling 6 residential units at the above address. The subject property is located in the urban mixed-use zoning district. The proposal requires site plan review approval per section 11.4 for development with more than 3 units, and a special permit approval per section 11.3 for 4 to 6 dwelling units on a single lot. May we hear from the applicant, please?
All right, good evening to the board. My name is Casey Ferreira. I'm a senior civil designer with Howard Stein Hudson Associates. Tonight with me is Larry Carney, the managing partner of LML Investments, LLC. And tonight, as you mentioned, we are here to discuss 558 Gorham Street. The easiest way to locate 558 Gorham Street is if you were at the end of the Lowell connector, you take a right, and it's about 250 feet down on the left-hand side or the east side of Gorham Street. As you mentioned, it is located in the UMU Urban Mixed Use District, and the project site total is approximately 10,340 square feet. So that's just under a quarter acre of property there. And it's currently vacant, but historically, or at least in the past, it has been used for retail commercial purposes, with one building totaling 1,447 square feet existing on site. The remainder of the site outside the building is mostly paved, with about 5,659 square feet of pavement. And that frontage is about 110 feet, and just about the entirety of the frontage in the existing condition is usable for access from Gorham Street into the property. So there's no defined entry or exit. It's basically just divided by some flush granite curbing where you have access from Gorham Street. To the north of the project site is some residential homes, whether they be single family or 2 family. Mainly to the north until you get to the Lowell connector, just north is residential uses, and then also to the east of the site is also residential. Once you get to the south of the site, from our site towards Central Street, there's one multifamily building in there. I believe it has 4 units. But then it's retail or business and a commercial uses. So this site kind of grants a unique opportunity between the residential properties to the north and then the business or commercial properties to the south to kind of create some sort of buffer between the commercial properties. So the proposal what you have in front of you is a proposal for 2 buildings, townhouse style units. On the north of the site, we have a 4-unit building, and then on the south of the site, we have a 2-unit building. All of these 6 units on this site will grant a density of about 1,723 square feet per dwelling unit. The UMU requires 1,000 square feet per dwelling unit, so we far exceed the density requirement that the UMU has put forth, meaning that we meet it. We're almost double the required square footage per dwelling unit. For setbacks, the project proposes, and in the UMU, it basically describes that you want to maintain the existing frontages along the neighborhood. And it kind of varies from the south where the business commercial properties are. They're really close to the road, and then to the north, when you get to the residential properties, they're set a little bit further back. So our site is set up somewhat similar. As I said previously, to create somewhat of a buffer or a transition. When you're on the south with the 2-unit building, there's approximately a 6-foot setback, which is in line with the 5.5-foot setback of the building adjacent to the south. And then additionally, on the north side, we have about a 14-foot setback, which is consistent with the setbacks of the residences to the north of the property. As far as side setbacks go, the UMU requires a 3-foot minimum with a 17-foot sum. We propose a 5.5-foot minimum with about a 21-foot sum, so we're exceeding both portions of that side yard setback. And then additionally, the rear yard is required to be 15 feet, and we maintain at least 16 feet around the rear of the property. Each unit for this development is proposed at 20 feet wide by 28 foot in length, with a 2-car garage set below. There is one unit, unit number 4, which would not have access to enter and exit a garage, so there is no garage proposed under unit 4, and unit 4 is the last building furthest to the rear on the northern building. As submitted, we show 5 additional surface parking spaces. I know there have been some comments that we received regarding those parking spaces, so we will work with the planning department and engineering to determine the usability of those surface parking spaces. But as submitted, we show 15 total parking spaces, with 14 being the requirement in the UMU. To connect the surface parking spaces to each building, we've proposed a 4-foot concrete sidewalk that wraps around the rear of each of the buildings. So those will lead from surface parking spaces. If they can't use the garage for any reason, they will have access from those parking spaces to the rear of the buildings where the doors will be located. There'll be a garage door in the front with a personnel door in the back. Additionally, on the sidewalks, we're also proposing to repave the frontage of the property. So right now what you have is you have Gorham Street, a flush granite curb, and then the pavement for the property pretty much starts right there and goes all the way back. There's no real defined sidewalk along Gorham Street, so as part of our project, we're going to maintain 5 feet of pavement at the front, but we're going to repave the 5 feet along the frontage so that we maintain a sidewalk or repurpose and make sure that there's a sidewalk and pedestrian access from the south side of the property all the way to the north. And then additionally, our concrete sidewalks are going to tie into that newly paved sidewalk to kind of create a walkability or a pedestrian-friendly access from the roadway into the site. Snow storage is proposed to be provided on-site around the parking areas. It is a tight site, so anytime that snowfall accumulation exceeds the ability to store on site, snow will have to be removed. That'll have to be removed in accordance with state laws and dumped at a approved dumping facility in the state. The existing site right now is relatively flat. Most of the pavement, the majority of the pavement in the existing condition runs off towards Gorham Street, free flow, no treatment, into the drainage systems within Gorham Street. Additionally, a portion of the roof is guttered so that it falls onto that pavement and then also runs off towards Gorham Street. The remainder of the roof and then some portions of pavement run off towards the rear of the site, which is basically directly towards Cedar Court. The proposal defines drainage paths in a much more efficient manner. We propose 2 low points that'll be fitted with treatment units. So it'll be a catch basin with a treatment unit inside to treat all stormwater. All of that stormwater will be directed to subsurface infiltration system. That subsurface infiltration system has been designed to detain and infiltrate an inch of stormwater per square foot. This is in line with current engineering practices as well as state stormwater standards. It is important to note that the project site disturbs less than 43,560 square feet, which equals 1 acre, so isn't subject to the Lowell stormwater permit. However, all stormwater requirements that would have been subject to and state stormwater requirements are all met anyways, even though we're not technically subject to them. The project proposes beyond our subsurface infiltration system to tie back into the drainage system within Gorham Street. We were offered an opportunity to tie into the sewer, but knowing that the city of Lowell is undergoing separation of stormwater and sewer, we thought better to just go a little bit further, tie into drainage so that it won't be a short-term solution to a long-term problem. The site utilities will be serviced from Gorham Street, so we'll have gas, electric, water, and sewer. So all sewer will go towards Gorham Street. There's a main that runs right down the center line of Gorham. And then as far as water goes, you'll have your typical service connections to each unit, but then additionally, there's a fire hydrant proposed adjacent to the 2-unit building, and then there's also the 4-unit building requires a separate water service for a sprinkler service, so there's an additional connection for a sprinkler at the 4-unit building. Like I said, we did receive city comments from departments. We're going to work over the next week to address some of these. Some of them had to do with landscaping, some of them had to do with drainage. So we're going to work to rectify those comments in the coming week, and we'll work directly with the city departments to do so. I know that the project requires a special permit under the zoning ordinance for a 6-unit development within the UMU. On that, there is several special permit criteria, not just for zoning, but also for the UMU specifically. I can go through each of those if you would like, or, I mean, it's been in your packet. If you've had the chance to review it, we can just open it up to questions instead, or I can go into the special permit criteria, however the board feels.
So the only question I have is, you did receive the comments from April 1st that were dated to yourself as well as the board members?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just saying, by reading these comments, there's at least 4 departments that have serious concerns with the plans.
So I know at least one of them is drainage related.
Well, I mean, if we just go from page 1 to page 2, okay, you know, first they start off with your snow storage, which isn't on the plan, so
There is snow
we're not
storage.
sure where that's going, and that's why 2 department heads already brought that up. Snow storage will be shielded from the street behind units 5 and 6. The plans are unclear as to how it will be shielded from the abutment at 17 Cedar Court. They have then they said, provide adequate access. The fire department has a question. Also, the other question is how the trash is going to be handled, where it's going to be stored, and who's going to do it. The other one, they come up with the zoning chart and says that the applicant has proposed 2 parking spaces that are blocking the entrance to the garages of units 5 and 6. As these spaces will need to be removed, the applicant will now need a variance for parking. The parking requirement is 0.75 parking spaces per bedroom, 2 spaces per dwelling unit, whichever is greater. As each unit has 3 bedrooms, 14 spaces is required. When these 2 spaces are removed, the property only now provides 13. That's from planning staff. The plan indicates a curb cut of 32 feet. Maximum allowed curb cut in the UMU district is 25 feet. This will also require a variance. Moving along, the board should confirm the planting of the trees, street trees on the property. As noted, the project manager for Department of Public, for DPD project, reviewed staff also has concern that plows may damage the proposed plantings. Then we go on to talk about contingency of shade trees, and then it comes up and says, in addition, snow storage areas may be difficult for plow to access, and many cause damage to proposed plantings. Please receive verification on both of these points. Then we get to engineering. Engineering says the site plan show a label that notes 2 parking spaces for each unit. The elevation plans show 15 by 22 garage for each unit. How do they intend to park 2 cars for each unit? Show the parking spots on the plan. I'm concerned that it will be difficult to place snow in the storage areas. This is all coming from the engineering department. As shown on the plan, one area is between the fence and retaining wall. The other is between the fire hydrant and the property line. How do they intend to place the snow in these areas without damaging the retaining wall of the hydrant? Also, landscape plan also shows various trees and shrubs in these areas. I don't believe it's practical that these areas will be used for snow storage. Then we have that Mass DOT is planning to construct a roundabout at the end of the Lowell connector. There will need to be a coordination between the state and the developer as to the impact of the project. To drive the opening and sidewalk alignment, until the state plans are finalized, plan on removing and resetting the granite curb along Durham Street and construct a new asphalt sidewalk. Add the curb and sidewalk to the plans. The plans show curb cuts at city sidewalk at the driveway opening. Do not place curb across the sidewalk or radius curb at the opening. The curb can be reset with a straight transition stone down. Update the plans to reflect this. Show the city water mains in the area. Then, now we hear from the fire department. The fire department, access bill will be required in accordance with the Modem Building Code 527 CMR, Chapter 18. This may require a sweep path analyst. This could also impact planted surfaces parking. Are these 2 3-family units or 2 with a 4-family unit? This may change the detection and suppression system requirement and the configuration. So we have concerns now from the fire department as well. Now, you indicated you worked with stormwater. Stormwater says concerns with proposed drainage design. Central drainage system ties out into a catch basin on opposite side of Gorham Street that utilities does not have mapped. Additionally, the catch basins may be state asset. Engineering must confirm catch basins ownership and outlet. A drain line, presumably connected to roof leaders, as you've talked about, is shown to run along the northerly boundary of the property and outlet at a neoplast gate along the casterly boundary. Unsure if the pipe is perforated. This design cannot be approved as it directs flow to abutting property. Please route roof leaders to the surface infiltration system instead. Now we have transportation. The 2 parallel parking spaces in front of Unit 5 and 6 access to those units, garages, and cannot be considered as part of the proposed parking supply. Without these 2 parking spaces in the supply count, 2 spaces are provided for each of the units, and additional space for guest parking. A variance would be needed for the 14 spaces. Then we have wastewater comments. It is preferred that the existing sewer way on Gorham Street be used to serve these properties. Please connect sewer services to the sewer main accordingly. So when we have concerns, and for me personally, when I see an issue from the fire department,
Well, so the issue with the fire department is that they haven't been provided the swept path analysis. So the swept path analysis shows them how their truck or their rig will move in and out of the site. So I can provide that. That's not a problem with us.
if you, well,
but I-
that's something we need before I can tell you. I don't know about the rest of the board, but
Oh, absolutely.
until we have those information, I mean, so usually when we have somebody come in, we have them go through the whole list.
Yep, so absolutely. So what I will tell you is that, as I said at the beginning, we did receive the comments, and we're going to be working with all these city departments over the next week or so to address all of these comments. I'm not going to come before you until these comments are clean or back before you. I wanted to introduce the project to you rather than just continue until we have that. But we will be submitting revised plan sets, revised reports that respond to each and every one of these comments, so that, we come before you with clean comment letters. But I did want to come tonight to open up the meeting, introduce you to the project, and then we will be able to move forward and address each of these comments. Some of them, like the stormwater-related ones, we have to work with the stormwater department to achieve, because one of their recommendations doesn't mesh well with the stormwater standards that we're looking to meet. So I would like to come to some kind of agreement with them so that we can meet stormwater standards, but also have what they would call an approvable plan on their end. As far as the parking spaces, we don't intend on requesting a variance for the parking spaces. If they won't accept the 2 that are in front of the 2-unit building, we planned on using signage to make those as part of the parking specifically for those units. If that is not acceptable for them, and that's one thing I want to talk to them about, if that's not acceptable, we'll provide another parking space so that we do not have to require a variance. Additionally, with the curb cut width across the front, I don't want to request a variance for that. I will work and thin out that curb cut so that it meets within the 25 feet. I wanted to have a 24-foot access aisle, so if you have the 24-foot access aisle with radii on either side, that's what opens up the curb cut. My aisle is only 24 feet, but it's what it is the curb that rounds out, that goes out to the 32. So I have to work with them to determine the definition of their curb cut. Is it the aisle that goes in, or is it the mouth of the opening? If it's the mouth of the opening, I'll cut down my aisle to achieve that, and I'll work with the transportation department to ensure that it's still safely and adequately accessed. We do plan on revising the landscape plan to work around the snow storage areas. We did add the snow storage areas after the landscaping was designed. So we will revise the landscaping plan to ensure that all the snow storage areas are conveniently acceptable. Additionally, there's the requirement that all the snow storage must be screened from the abutting residential areas. We can do that utilizing a fencing across the back, so that'll better define where the property line is, and where they can put the snow storage up near that fence.
So what's your plan for trash, sir?
Plan for trash at this time, I believe, is individual units. We did not propose a dumpster pad, but the individual units being serviced on their own.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. So at this point in time, I'll open up to the public. Anybody here this evening would like to speak in favor of this proposal? Anybody in favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. That part of the public hearing is open. I'll turn it over now to the board members. They have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure, Mr. Bichette?
So if I understand correctly, you understand you're looking for continuance here this evening, right? I'm going to just speak for myself regarding the special permit. One of the, and this is an arterial road coming into the downtown. You've got the connector, high visibility. Obviously, a chance to improve the site, no question about that. But when you, and you, I like the way you described it. It's kind of a transition from, a buffer from the residential 1-2 families right at the end of the connector, and then you got more commercial, business-looking properties. What I will tell you is historically, and I've sat here for almost 19 years, and the chairman's been here a lot longer than me, not a big fan of what a townhouse condominium development put in sideways on especially an arterial road, where you've got, matter of fact, I have pictures of all of those homes, 2 families and single families, all along there with the front of the houses facing Gorham Street. Also, not a big fan of that parking spot that you have that's right on the street between the end unit, number 1, and the street, right? Is that I mean, that's, again, not a big fan of that. I take it for what it's worth, and with some of the challenges from the site. A question for you: are these going to be sold as owner-occupied condominiums, or are they? You know,
Yes.
I'd redesign the whole site. I'm not a big fan of the design, so that's just for myself speaking. I don't think it fits in there at all. And I think you could take a good look, walk around there, and either try to mimic a little bit of that business side looking. Matter of fact, we approved the property right at the corner of Gorham and Central, I believe, where it was commercial initially on the first floor, mixed use. I mean, it's urban mixed use. Ideally, if you could have a mixed use development, that would be ideal, but understanding the economic challenges of that. There's more money to be made on a residential unit than there is on a commercial. I get
Also,
that.
the shape of the site
Yeah.
is really challenging.
Yeah, no, understood. But I think architecturally, you can do a better job of trying to fit that into the neighborhood.
So what I will, if I may respond to that quickly, what we did notice was a lot of these single-family homes or the 2-family homes that are on this northern side are skinny against the frontage, and then they go long in depth. So I think one of the options that we might have would be to not necessarily reorient the buildings, but change the facade that you see against to match more with that northern side. I believe the buildings are actually well dimensionally in line with the existing buildings as you move north. Maybe the facades that you see we can mend with and try and put it more in line with what you might see as a residential.
And that's been used as a solution in the past. I would strongly urge you to look at that. I would strongly urge you to do away with that parking spot that's between Gorham Street and Unit 1. I don't know where you can pick it up, or you move the building forward, but I'm not a fan of that look. So that's just my comments.
Well, on that front, I guess I could ask the board if they would be amenable to a reduced front yard in that side. What we were attempting to do with that building being located there is have it more in line with that northern side, the residences on the northern. If we were to shift it forward, we wouldn't necessarily be in line with the residences on the northern, but we'd still be behind the front yard setback established by the businesses to the south. So that may be an option if the board would consider allowing less than 14 feet of a setback on that north side.
Well, I don't believe the zone has
the zone requires that we maintain the existing.
Maintain the
along the
existing,
neighborhood.
so let's look
So
at
that
this.
was, you know,
And it's kind of challenging, right? Because, as you say, along that road, the,
businesses use one frontage. and-
yeah, exactly.
Use
So
another.
let me just bring this up here. Yeah, I see what you're, in matter of fact, I took a picture that captures that. I get exactly what you're trying to do there. And to your point, I get that. I just wish there was a better treatment, although I'm looking at a house, that's exactly what they did. They put their car parked right in front of it. That's not a big fan of that. All right, well,
I will also note that that entire frontage is used as parallel parking for Gorham Street as well. So whether we have the parking space there or not, there's still going to be cars street front and.
on the street, yeah, exactly, understood. Yep, no, absolutely understood. So again, I would want to see architectural elevations of that facade and what it would look like as part of that special permit.
Sure.
Because I just, not, and it's been something this board has worked on for quite some time, and it's in some of the planning documents of the city, is we really don't want to see those sideways, plugged in sideways and seeing a side facade on the main, especially when it's an arterial road as well. So, just my thoughts on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chet. Caleb, any questions?
So, I have similar concerns with, Member Fachet, on the facade. I understand the challenge, of the site, that you have to work with. I mean, at the very least, I would think that the end wall, of those buildings can use some windows. I mean, that's the least we can look for. And I was reading the architectural plan, and it seems like there's some stairwells that might have space for a window or two. I mean, that's the least we can do if you stick with the current layout. And I know parking is also challenging with the irregular shaped site. But I recognize you're also kind of close to this train station, so I mean, if you get go the variance route, I would recommend you may look at some transportation demand management proposal to make a case to whether it's practical that people might own or maintain fewer cars on site. It's a little more challenging when it's an owner-occupied property, but I'm glad you decide on that. I think the landscaping plan is a start. I see. We all know that the staff have comments.
Yep.
So I think one thing I recognize is that it's nice to have trees, but they're kind of all in the back, and the street is kind of bare. And it's tricky given that the irregularness of the site is in the rear, so that might play a part. But I would certainly like to see a few more trees up front. I mean, to buffer the front of the property. But with all the concerns, I would take note that there will be an improvement to the site, because currently there's no driveway. It's a continuous, I would say, curb or slanted curb that cars can go right in and out, and then there pretty much no vegetation. So I think this will be an improvement, but I think we would like a little bit more details on execution.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb. Danny, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just following up with my fellow members, I think Jerry raises a good point as far as how this is constructed and how this is designed, and what could be done with it. When I look at this site, it feels like we're trying to put too much into too small of a space and trying to cram it all in. That's what I saw. When I drove around the area, like you had mentioned, there's one family, two family north of it. Then you have the HVAC business, and then you have the corner. You know, when I look at this, I think it's more suited to what Jerry had indicated is not having the buildings facing each other, but more of facing the street. And maybe there are two families rather than this four family, and then you would have places to put storage, parking, and everything else. I just think we're trying to put too much into one area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Lucia, any questions, comments?
I echoed the concerns with regard to the view from Gorham Street, because I was thinking, what are we going to see from when we drive by? So I wonder if it would be possible when you come back to have colored renderings to kind of give us a better visualization of what it's going to look like. And in a perfect world, we would go with Member Tenza's view, but
I got
I
rainbows and
understand.
unicorns in my world, so.
but that's all I have.
Thank you. Hilltop, any questions? All set? Okay.
May I ask one more?
Sure, go ahead, Caleb, anytime.
You probably might have an answer in response to the staff in the next meeting, but I do want to hear like any talks with regard to the road improvement or the rotary that Mass DOT is planning.
So no, I have not been in contact with Mass DOT. The staff comments were the first time that I heard about that. So I will be in contact with Mass DOT to see what the scope of their changes will be and alterations. If we are within the impacted scope, then we'll obviously have to make considerations for what their design is intended to be, and then make it feasible for them to construct that design based on how we lay out our project. So when we come back, we'll have those answers for you as well.
Oh, thank you. I think one thing is interesting is the timing of that project might varies and how that might put some of the like curbstones in limbo. I think that will, it seems like will be something to work out. I mean, along with the city engineering as well, on DPW.
Right.
Thank you.
So I'm sure that'll come up in my conversations with DPW as well as we discuss curb radii and the access locations. And, if they're trying to modify the location of Gorham in this area to add that roundabout, we'll have to be cognizant of the limits of that work on our site to make sure that we don't have a building there or some permanent feature in that location.
And talking of which, I did notice it seems like there is some equipment on the corner of the lot, right? That might be a transformer or?
Yeah, so there's an electrical transformer. In my history of being a civil engineer, almost never does National Grid actually put it where we show it on the plan. Once they come in and pull their own permits, they put it where it's feasible for them. We like to give them an area and then build around that so that is the area that we ideally want them to put it. But ultimately, National Grid will be the one to determine that once they get into their construction.
Yeah, because I did recognize that is,
Yeah.
might be one thing that is setting requiring the setback as well. It seems like it can be put on the other corner, but maybe National Grid like this side of the property a little bit more.
Well, what we like to target is less trenching, right? So there's an existing utility pole that's essentially right on that property corner. So if we can use that utility pole to connect to, we put the transformer right next to that, connect that transformer right to that utility pole, that reduces the trenching. If we had to put it across the site where there is open area, we certainly could do that. It would just be more trenching, which is less ideal on the construction side, but certainly not a deal breaker for any reason. But as we like to lay it out, we want to reduce that as much as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, we've had, excuse me, in the past, we've had a couple of projects where the developer wanted to put in a certain location, and the developer had to come back and said, well, National Grid's not putting it there. And then, we've tried everything we can to put it there, but they're telling us it has to go in this location, and they tried to change it, and National Grid really didn't budge. So,
National Grid almost.
So I understand what you're talking about when you're talking about that, because we dealt with that. Yeah. So if it looks like you are looking for continuance, I don't know how much time out you need to talk with these department heads to get these comments in concern and put the new plans in.
Well,
Because the time you give them new plans, they're gonna have to come back with us with new comments, so.
so I was just gonna say, assuming I would get them plans, they're gonna need a week to review them anyway, so I'd say let's continue beyond the next meeting and into the one after that one. So probably the first meeting of May.
May 5th.
How are we looking for May 5th? I know, you know what we have on that night,
There's nothing on for May 5th right now, so that's why.
as of now? Okay,
It looks good.
all right. So I know that on that day, we have 4 things on
Yeah,
now, because we
yeah.
just continued one matter,
Yep,
so.
that would be good.
So the request is for continuance to May 5th. What's the request of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to continue until the May 5th planning board meeting.
Second the motion. Second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Chair votes yes. Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion is allowed. Good luck, sir.
Thank you very much, appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
thank you. Okay. Moving along on the agenda, any of the board members have any updates on anything for the board's consideration?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, tomorrow night at the city council meeting, Jenny Raitt, who is the executive director of NEMCOG, will be giving a report to the city council relative to what the organization has been doing relative to the city, and as well as upcoming projects that they are working on, and so looking forward to that presentation. And where I'm the treasurer and serve on several committees, I've committed to being present just for the presentation. Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments, updates? If not, we can entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion's made
Second.
and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
We have adjourned. Good night and thank you, everyone.